Hey, what's going on, guys? So I've been playing a lot of Modern Warfare recently, and I've been having a lot of fun. I've been mainly trying the snipers, so I've played a lot with the AX50 and the HDR, really trying to level both of those up, get my quick scoping attachments with the AX50. But I found, like, even though the snipers feel really good, they feel really kinetic, they do good damage as well compared to some of the other Call of Duties where it's the groin and above, even the arms is a one-hit kill at their normal ranges. But it just seemed like an absolute chore for me to level up all of the snipers in the game, because I think that snipers overall as a class, especially in the traditional sense where you use just the standard optic, you play a little bit more defensively, I think they really need some work. And the current state right now, especially compared to some of the other guns, the snipers just feel a lot less satisfying and a lot more frustrating to play with. Because I found myself really struggling to get in a good groove when I was playing, especially trying to unlock the attachments, and you really just seem like you're at a disadvantage at literally every single stage of the game against every other weapon when you're playing in the 6v6 game modes and the standard size maps. But I'll get into it. I'm going to get into some of the problems I have that I think that are affecting the sniper rifles. Some you can't really control, but then also some of the weapon balancing as well that I think negatively affects snipers and other guns in the game too. So the first couple things that jump out at me and that I noticed were that the maps, while they're definitely more complex, they definitely cater more towards a rushing playstyle, even though people don't actually do that in this game. And for a sniper, where your whole goal is to lock down one area of the map, I felt like there were so many ways for enemies to just come and flank me that it became really difficult to strategically position myself, because I'd have to watch 5 or 6 different entry points to wherever I was in the map, and it just became really difficult once I secured that first kill to then prevent that same person from not being able to flank around me. Because if that player, if they decide to say, hey, I'm going to ruin this dude's day and just rush him over and over again with a P90, there's very little I can do to prevent him from him, even with a couple of claymores set, just because there's so many different flank routes in the game. And then on the macro level, it just becomes more difficult to position yourself over the course of the match. So that another thing that's sort of related to that, I would say, is the mini map in the game. So obviously there was the sort of controversial change where gunfire from your enemies comes up on the compass above the mini map, and I feel like not a lot of people use it. I don't use it too often because I'm usually looking at the mini map, because the mini map is also where the UAVs show. So that change I feel like negatively affects snipers and any sort of slower play, just mainly because when I'm playing as a sniper, or if I'm playing with an LMG, if I want to set myself up somewhere, I have to worry about where the enemies are. It's all dependent on where those enemies are, where I want to be, and how I can lock down certain areas of the map. So combined with the map issue, when I can't really tell where enemies are, even if they're killing my teammates, I only see the vague skull on the map. It's really hard to strategically position myself in a way where I can get a good rhythm, get some kills, lock down an area, and then get my team ahead too. So I really felt myself struggling to get in a good flow, whether it's spawning on the wrong side of the map or spawning in the middle of the map and you don't really know which direction you're supposed to be running. So I feel like having those red dots on the minimap would make it a lot easier to react to what your enemies do and then position yourself a little more strategically. So that's one change I would definitely make, and I think they're exploring that too. But overall, for the weapons, I think, as I said earlier, the snipers at every stage of the game, whether it's close combat, long range, medium range, on those standard size maps, I think that they're outclassed by every single weapon in the game. So I'll do a couple of examples here. I'll start with like the SMGs even. If I'm aiming down sights with a sniper rifle, I have the scope glare. So anyone that I'm looking towards will see where I am almost immediately, and that element of surprise being removed allows players with either ARs, SMGs, LMGs to very quickly react to your initiation of the fight. And because the snipers are a lot more sluggish to get on target, if you're not just running up and quick scoping, you're going to be spending a lot more time to aim on them than they are aiming on you. And for them, aiming on you is much easier because they just have to go to the light. So I'll notice sometimes it's really defeating when this happens, but I'll be zooming in on someone who might have an assault rifle. I don't really know what weapon they have at the time, and I'll just see them mow me down almost instantly. And I'll look at the kill cam, and they don't even see where I am. They just see a bright light, and they just start shooting at it, and it might get a lucky headshot. And you see this mostly with ARs, but the most shocking thing to me was people with either the P90, the MP5. They were able to, at pretty long ranges, instead of flanking around like they should be, they would wait for me to show my scope glare, pop out, and then just full auto me from almost across the map. And I've noticed this mostly on like Shoot House, kind of the more smaller, medium-sized maps, but it's been pretty shocking the distance that they're able to fully auto kill me with an SMG, and especially something like a P90 that has a lot of great close quarters capabilities. So you'd think that some of these weapons would have the same sort of trade-offs that the snipers do, where the snipers are clunky but give you that one-shot kill. These guns should be able to kill quickly up close, but I think that shouldn't even be an option with an SMG, because that's just not correct SMG play. You shouldn't be able to just look across the map and fully auto someone that has a sniper rifle. And obviously I'm not the best player in the world, so your mileage may vary with your effectiveness with the snipers, but overall I think these weapons should be locked more into their respective roles and shouldn't be able to compete with a sniper in the sniper space if they choose the engagement correctly, as difficult as that is. Even on a deeper level, I know marksman rifles are considered pretty useless by most of the community, but they pretty much rendered snipers useless in the standard game modes, because when you're playing on something like Piccadilly, Shoot House, really any of the maps actually, using a Mark II or a Kar 98 is going to give you probably better results than having a sniper, because a lot of your engagements that you're going to struggle to control a little bit more are going to be happening more reactively and at closer ranges, and at that point it's just better to have that one-shot kill capability plus the mobility. And with those marksman rifles, if you don't have the scopes attached, you don't have the lens glare as well, or the scope glare. So enemies won't be able to see you as easily. They won't be able to know what kind of weapon you have right away, which is nice. And you'll be able to get the drop on a lot more people with that one-shot kill. And you can even play similarly to how a sniper would play. So that's my biggest struggle, I would say, as a sniper, is those people with the marksman rifles, like a Kar 98 or a Mark II, just posted up somewhere head glitching. You're done. You have no idea what kind of weapon they have. If you hesitate for even a second, they can just one-shot you. It's very easy for them to do that. So I think those are really a direct counter to the snipers, even though they might struggle against some of the other classes. But I would even go further here, where in the sniper category, the standard kind of tactical sniper play with the regular scope is sort of rendered useless by the existence of ACOG, especially in 6v6. Because if I'm against someone with an ACOG AX50, I have no idea when the engagement's happening. If they have a sniper, I'm not alerted with the scope glare. They have similar accuracy to me, and they still do a very good amount of damage. There's no real damage reduction. So I felt myself kind of unfairly losing to the ACOG really often. I didn't think there was much I could do about it, because I couldn't even tell they were aiming at me, but they still had access to all of the damage that I had, and all of the range as well, even though the scope isn't quite as awesome. But it doesn't affect the actual damage over range, it just affects your confidence when you're looking down sights, and maybe your accuracy a little bit, but it's still not enough where I think that it evens out over the standard scope. So I think that overall it would help the standard snipers with the standard scopes to maybe do a little bit more damage over range, so you're not getting hit markers with the AX50 over range, because once that happens you're pretty much dead. And I think having less of a lens flare would definitely help, so people don't see you quite as easily. And on top of that, I think that the standard scopes for the snipers should be able to move a little bit faster horizontally and vertically, just so you can target your enemy a little bit faster. When the entire point of playing as a sniper is to get the element of surprise on people, to think strategically and try to sort of ambush people, it defeats the purpose when you have a giant bright light saying exactly where you are. And then also when you are trying to target someone, it's so easy for them to just strafe and move out of the way as you're looking at them, because how clunky the controls are for the actual scope moving horizontally or vertically. So I think making the snipers a little bit more nimble across the board would help a little bit with that, so you're not relying on going all the way through the AX50 to level up quick scoping attachments. And I think it would make the snipers overall a lot more versatile, a lot more effective, and I think a lot more fun to use too. So I'd combine those changes with some of the map changes, and hopefully snipers can be a little bit more fun to play. But what do you guys think? Have you played with the snipers at all? Do you find that you have to quick scope to be effective? Do you really think that the snipers need some changes in order to be a little bit more fun? So let me know in the comments below what you think and what your thoughts are on the sniper, and thanks for watching.